All right, awesome. So now we're live. Hello for anybody that is listening to this. Another episode of TNP Hockey, where we're trying to turn potential into opportunity, and one of the ways is through creating like content like this with some awesome people who have like really good insights, can give us like tips and thought process on specific things. And our guest for today, super pumped, who I've had like the chance to work with you, and I feel like when I was doing that at the time, it was probably the best I've ever felt. So that was awesome. We got Jake Nitsche, who is now is it director of sports science and performance for the Chicago Steel?
Yeah, reverse director of performance, sports science, glorified strength coach.
There you go. Nice. You got to add the titles on it. That's cool. Well, dude, I seriously, I am super happy you like decided to hop on here. I'm sure you're like super busy. You and I were just talking right before this where you have a lot of stuff going on, especially with the Steel and GVN. But before we get into all of that, I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview on like your background and stuff like that. And then, yeah, if I mess anything up, feel free to stop me. But just to talk about it a little bit, you started growing up playing in Chicago. We'll get into that, obviously. But then after that, on Elite Prospects, it says St. Pat's, which is actually pretty close to me in Park Ridge, I think. But then you went on to play in the Minnesota Junior Hockey League, two separate teams in Wisconsin. Then you moved to, which is awesome, you made the leap to go to the NA, played for Amarillo. After your junior stint, looks like you went to play for Marion, which is NCAA hockey. And then after that, moving to Robert Morris University. And so, again, yeah, super happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Did I mess anything up, or was that pretty spot on?
No, yeah, all good. This doesn't even matter, but after St. Pat's, I was out in the East Coast playing for a team out there, like in youth hockey. But that's a whole, we'll get into that. It's a crazy story, I guess I could tell.
Nice. Well, yeah, let's get right into it. Can you tell me a little bit about like growing up? Where did you play, in Chicago? Just kind of take me through the journey a little bit.
Yeah, so like I said, grew up in Chicago in the northwest suburbs in Edison Park, Illinois. So from there, I played, just Glenview, Northern Express, like just some AA hockey around the area. And then started in St. Pat's. I actually didn't play hockey my freshman year, kind of lost the love of the game at that point. So I took a year off and then realized I loved hockey again. So played high school for the year, had an opportunity to go out to the East Coast and play in that USPHL league when it was like the old EJ, like AAA league. So I went out and played for like the Mass Maple Leafs out there. Some things happened with the coach out there where mid-season the team actually got shut down because the coach got arrested for like soliciting a minor.
I think I heard the story. That is wild. You were there for that.
Yeah, Tony Da Silva. That was the guy there. That whole thing happened. So that put me in a little bit of a bind at that point because it's like December at that time. So I just couldn't join like another AAA team or whatever. So I just went back and finished at St. Pat's for that year. And then that's when I went and started playing juniors in central Wisconsin for the Saints. And then the team moved to Wisconsin Rapids. And then I was able to make it out of the jungle and go into a different kind of jungle.
What was that like? Wisconsin, I'm not sure where that is, like the Rapids, but how far was that from where you grew up?
I'd say it was like 4 hours. Like it's like central Wisconsin, like Stevens Point, like Appleton area. Yeah, so like right in the middle of Wisconsin. It wasn't close, but it wasn't far. Like my family was able to come up every weekend and see me play and travel and stuff and still get to see them. So it was like the perfect like distance to still see like my family and
have that's huge. Then talk a little bit about like how you made the jump. You obviously jokingly said from one jungle to the other, but you made like the leap to the NA, which is awesome. I'm sure.
Yeah, Yeah, so it's just like hard work, honestly. Like I was never like a overly skilled player, right? Like I like just like with how I was raised and kind of brought up, like all my core values was just like hard work and like that determination and like finding ways to be useful. So that's just kind of what I was able to do. Like just found a way to be useful to someone else, and it was able to at least keep me there for a little bit. Just kind of playing a role, and maybe sometimes you don't want to play a certain role, but like at that, like when you try to jump levels, right? Like you're not always gonna be a skill guy or put up a point per game. Like you have to find ways to make it work. So that's what I did. Like I played a hard nose style of hockey, and that kind of fits really well in Amarillo in the South Division. So it's just a good fit for me there. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was great.
Do you feel like your style before then, was it a little bit more of like, poise and playing with skill as opposed to like mixing it up, and then you had to make a change?
Yeah, I think like I always had elements of just playing hard and being hard to play against. Like I wasn't a guy that would run my mouth or anything, but like I feel like I went to the corner a lot. Like that was my thing. I was like good at. Like I was good at getting in the corner, like winning battles in the corner, being hard to play against down there, and then creating opportunity for other guys with that like hard work and kind of making things happen. So, but like the tier 3 level, right? It's a step lower. So like when you make that next jump, the guys are more skilled, like the hockey IQ is a little bit better. Just things get elevated. Um, so so like with that, like probably wasn't to the point where I could play like a skill role in the NA and be super effective and be in the lineup. So I had to kind of gear myself towards playing more of that harder style more consistently, making more of a bigger part of my game in order for me to stay in the lineup every game. If I had an off night, like the coach knew, like, hey, like even if he wasn't gonna produce like offensively, like you have to bring intangibles to the team, right? Like that's either being a really good penalty killer, like as a winger, like being really reliable on the wall, winning your wall battles, again creating opportunity out of the D zone, and just kind of again finding ways to put yourself to use and be an asset to a team. So that was again always I was able to put my ego aside with again maybe I didn't want to play like that role all the time, but I knew if I wanted to have some sort of opportunity and play at a higher level of hockey, like you got to do those things and you gotta embrace those things and stuff like that, like mixing it up with fighting and stuff. Like I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'8". Like at that time I was like 175, 180 pounds. So like not a huge guy, but again with like the style I played, like you had to answer for things like that. Like I would hit, I would get on guys' nerves because I would always be ultra competitive, like and getting the puck back. So like you got to do that stuff. So then it turned into more of a role where like my coach assigned me out to fight like 6'2", 6'3" guys, and I'm like, okay, like
I didn't
I
sign up for
don't want to do this, but like I said, like you're in that mindset, like you want to play, and like man, if this is gonna like keep me in the lineup, like I'll take my licking, like
Yeah.
and I'll be that guy. So it's just like again just being I think it's being selfless, right? Like being adaptive too. Like being like I like to call it being a chameleon. I think that's like a super important thing for kids to learn as to how to be multi-dimensional and not just one thing. Because if you're
Yeah.
just a skill guy or you're just a grinder and you don't do that thing and you have no other way to be productive and be an asset, then like essentially what use are you, and like what reason does a coach have to play you essentially, and for lack of like a better term and being blunt. um, so like it's really important in my mind to just be able to do different things and help in different ways. So you give yourself more opportunity that way. And then you can't be like, okay, the coach is doing this to me or has this out against me. It's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm not producing points, so I'm going to do this instead until I get back on track with producing.
Yeah, dude, you hit on like a lot of really awesome like stuff right there. Just to one more question before we like move on, but did you have somebody like kind of coach you on that, or did you kind of like see it? You're like, well, you kind of came into fruition. You're like, I got to do this, or did somebody come to you and like, hey, if you want to get in a lineup, like this is probably what you should do?
I think a really influential coach, and everyone I talk to about these things, I always bring him up. Marty Quarters was like a huge influence on me and like how I approached the game and how I created habits and did things. Like he coached at a high level of hockey, Division 1, on USHL and stuff like that. So like I took his word for a lot. I took his word with a lot of weight when he told me to do things. And he's like an older school guy, right? And me personally, and um, not everyone kind of connects with people like that. But for me personally, with how I was brought up and how I'm wired, like that guy that's hard on you and expects a lot from you and kind of holds you accountable, like that's what kind of drove me. And that's what he did. Like when he was my coach in Wisconsin. So I had 2 years with him, and that's all the time he harped on just being tough. All right, like you have to be like, this is a man's game. Like if like one thing he said to me pretty consistently, like he's like, you yell at me and be like, Jake, like you're not gonna do something good on the ice, either fight or get off. And so like again, like that type of thing, right? Like if you're not gonna be useful, right, do something that's gonna to be useful for the team. So that's and he's like a father figure to me. Like he's I still talk to him this day. He was just at my wedding in October. Like he's a father to me, and that's because of all the life lessons and how he helped me with my hockey career and kind of creating that mindset of outworking the guy next to you no matter what, and kind of and just being relentless. Like that's what I took most from him, is just being relentless with everything you do, like in hockey and like outside in life. So yeah, he's one of my mentors.
Nice. Well, one, that's awesome that you had somebody like that to help coach you up in that situation. And then two, yeah, I know you're kind of a sicko. Like you like when things are hard. Like you don't like things easy. You like working for it. And then third thing is like congratulations on the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
1 second.
Yeah, I think like just like having